Welcome to our channel. Today we will watch a tense and unexpected moment from the British royal family. At the age of 75, King Charles could not contain his emotions when Prince Edward, his younger brother, spoke out for the first time about Princess Diana after many years of silence. Edward's sincere and unexpected sharing shocked the whole of England and especially touched the heart of the king, who was carrying many responsibilities and memories. Let's explore this emotional story with us right after. Surely you have heard or discussed Princess Diana at least once, right? If you used to admire Diana, leave the number 1, and if you have only recently learned about her, comment the number 0. Don't forget to enjoy the full video and leave a subscription to support the channel to continue to produce more quality content. For decades, Prince Edward has lived in the shadow of the throne known as Queen Elizabeth II's quietest child. Scandal-free, controversy-free, he has long been a model of steadfast loyalty to the crown. While storms have swept the royal family from Charles and Diana's tumultuous divorce to Prince Andrew's acrimonious controversies, Edward has remained silent, a bulwark against royal secrets from the public eye. But now at 61, things are changing, with many believing he will take those secrets to the grave. Prince Edward has suddenly broken his silence, and the subject he has chosen to talk about is the most taboo of all: Princess Diana. Not praise, not fond memories, but shocking revelations, what those who have long revered the late princess are calling bad news. Why would such a loyal man choose this moment to speak out? Has something been weighing on his conscience all these years, or have the secrets hidden behind palace curtains become too heavy for him to bear? What truth has prompted the quietest of princes to finally speak? And are we really ready for what he has to reveal? While the world focused on the tragic romance between Diana and Charles, few people paid attention to the quieter, more secretive, but no less explosive connection between Princess Diana and Prince Edward, Charles's younger brother. It was not a romance, nor was it an open rivalry. It was something else entirely, a strange, silent understanding between two people trapped in a royal institution that stifles emotion and prizes silence. From Diana's earliest days as a royal, Edward watched it all unfold. He saw the cold stares, the unanswered phone calls, the formal ceremonies where Diana was forced to smile through tears. Edward was not like Charles. He was not aloof, nor burdened by royal arrogance. He was the only one who gently asked, "Diana, are you okay?" And with that question, a silent door opened between them. They did not see each other often, but when they did, the look they exchanged contained something unspoken. A former royal staffer once revealed that when Diana entered a room, Edward was always the only one who stood up and walked towards her. It was more than just politeness, it was something deeper. Edward listened to Diana, something Charles never did, and in letters never published, Diana is said to have written, "Edward understands me in a way that Charles never bothered to." That closeness did not go unnoticed by Charles. In fact, Charles became suspicious. At a private gathering at Balmoral, Charles is said to have confronted his brother. "Why are you on her side? Can't you see she's tearing the family apart?" Edward said nothing. He simply left the room, not in defeat, but in silent defiance. To protect a woman who was slowly breaking down. Then came the darkest moment: Diana's sudden death in a horrific car crash in 1997. According to witnesses, the only person who wept openly was not Charles, not even young William, but Edward. He flew quietly to Paris, to the scene of the crash, and demanded to see Diana's body before it was flown back to the UK. The palace has never disclosed this, but those close to the family know it happened. After Diana's death, Edward became more withdrawn. He refused interviews and avoided events that mentioned her name. But royal watchers knew that this was not forgetting, it was grief that had no place in the royal script. And perhaps that is why he always kept a clear distance from Camilla, whom he silently blamed for Diana's pain. At Charles and Camilla's wedding, Edward was said to be the last person to sign the guest book, his message short and sharp: "May your happiness not come at the expense of others." A statement that sent shockwaves through the palace corridors, but remained buried deep inside until recently, when Edward, now 61, finally broke his silence. In a private conversation with a trusted source, Prince Edward is said to have said, his voice trembling, "She didn't deserve any of that. Not the loneliness, not the betrayal. She was more royal than any of us." It was a confession that shocked those present, because it came from a man who had always been seen as a quiet loyalist of the monarchy, and from that moment, buried secrets began to surface. People began to ask the unimaginable questions. Was there more to Edward and Diana's bond than empathy? Was there something deeper that had to be hushed up to protect the royal image? And if so, was that hidden truth the kind that could bring the entire royal facade of perfection crashing down? Whatever the case, one thing was clear in the maelstrom of Diana's life: Edward was her silent anchor. A brother-in-law who not only saw her pain, but bore it with her, protecting her in silence and preserving her memory as a sacred relic. Now that he has broken his long silence, we are left with a pressing question. Is this just the beginning of a bigger story, waiting to explode a truth that could force royal history to be rewritten? Not in fairy tales, but in the raw, heartbreaking truth that has never been told. The royal family has since time immemorial lived by a strict rule: always control how you are perceived. Do you think Prince Edward should have spoken out about Princess Diana sooner? If you think so, comment 2. If you think not, comment 3. Your opinion matters, and we want to hear it. Don't forget to like the video and hit the bell so you don't miss the next fascinating stories about the British royal family. Their image is carefully constructed around being discreet, polished, and detached from emotional turmoil. There's an old saying they follow, like law, never complain, or even explain. It's more than a motto, it's a shield that's protected them for generations. They choose what the world sees and keep everything else behind closed doors. Then Diana comes along. From the moment she joins the family, everything starts to change. She was youthful, vibrant, and had a way of connecting with people that no royal had ever had before. While most members of the family kept their emotions hidden behind perfect smiles, Diana showed her heart openly. She cried when she was overwhelmed, she spoke honestly about things that hurt her, and she didn't pretend things were okay when they weren't. And in doing so, she showed the public something they'd never seen before: a royal who felt like one of them. She allowed people to see behind the palace walls and see the reality beneath the traditions. She showed that even those who wore crowns and titles could feel pain, struggle with love, and battle loneliness. Without ever speaking a word, Diana changed the way people viewed the monarchy. And all the while, Prince Edward was there, silently watching it all. He never sought the spotlight, but he was there throughout, watching closely as Diana's courage and vulnerability reshaped the royal world in unexpected ways. Prince Edward never intervened in the middle of the royal family's struggles, but that didn't mean he didn't pay attention. He watched quietly from the back as Diana's presence gradually turned the entire royal world upside down. Her rising popularity hit the palace like a sudden storm. The royal family had never faced someone like her before. She was expected to be the quiet support alongside Prince Charles, but instead, she became the star. Everywhere she went, people cheered her name with delight. Photographers followed her relentlessly, and even powerful leaders seemed more interested in meeting Diana than meeting other royals. With each appearance, her influence grew stronger, but behind the scenes, things were not so rosy. Inside the palace walls, the pressure was mounting. The spotlight, once held by the monarchy as a whole, had shifted almost entirely to Diana, and that shift created serious tensions. The royal family has always operated in a world of strict rules and quiet traditions. They keep their personal struggles private and expect everyone in the family to do the same. They resist change, cling to old traditions, and avoid public displays of emotion. But Diana didn't follow that path. She opened up about her pain, she bravely admitted to the isolation she felt, and she spoke about the overwhelming burden of being a royal in a way that no one had dared to talk about before. And because of her honesty, the public loved her all the more. Prince Edward, calm as ever, saw it all unfold. He saw how the royal family struggled to keep up, while Diana's openness connected her to the people in ways the royal family could not. Her truth not only revealed her own struggles, it exposed the backwardness of the monarchy. For generations, the family had carefully shaped how the world saw them. They kept their image polished and aloof, but Diana could not be managed or contained. Her sincerity, the very thing that endeared her to everyone, also became the greatest threat to the old royal system. She made people feel something real, something personal, and that made her more than just a difficult royal. It made her a challenge to everything the monarchy had built over the years. The more they tried to silence or limit her, the more it became clear that their grip on the public trust was fraying. At the time, Edward never said a word about what was happening. He remained silent, choosing to observe rather than intervene, but he saw it all every moment, every change. And when he finally spoke about those years later, it was clear how deeply Diana had changed things. She didn't just stir the royal waters, she changed the way people viewed the entire monarchy. From the sidelines, Edward saw how Diana's presence both shielded the royal family from total disconnection and forced them to confront a truth they could no longer avoid. She reshaped their world forever, and Edward silently watched it all happen. Diana did something unprecedented in royal history. She made people feel that the crown was not just a symbol, but something real and warm. For so long, the royal family lived hidden behind layers of rules distance and quiet dignity. They were not allowed to appear as ordinary people with emotions and flaws. They were supposed to represent tradition, stability, and history. But Diana turned that idea on its head. She did not hide behind guards or large gates. She was soft, open, and never afraid to show affection in public. Instead of just waving from afar, she walked into the crowd smiling at strangers touching their hands and looking them in the eye with warmth. That gentle intimacy felt new and special. She brought the royal world down to earth, closer to the common man, and people felt more connected to her than ever before. But what seemed beautiful to the public felt dangerous inside the palace. This change was not taken lightly. It shook the royal family to its core. No royal has ever been as naturally and deeply loved as Princess Diana. She did not perform her duties as if they were just a job. Her actions came from her heart. Diana was not just present at official events, but went to hospital beds when others were too afraid to come near. When the world stigmatized people with HIV/AIDS, Diana touched them, hugged them, and made them feel appreciated. She did not need the limelight. She needed real change for those who were suffering. Her trips into landmines were not for show, but to raise awareness and fight for those forgotten in war and conflict. That genuine concern endeared Diana to the world not as a royal, but as a global symbol of compassion. She made the seemingly aloof monarchy seem approachable and humane, but it was also what made Diana a source of concern within the royal family. Behind palace walls, her growing fame and influence began to unsettle the traditional guardians of order. The royal family had been built on image control and secrecy, a system that had been built for centuries on keeping emotions bottled up and away from public life, and Diana, with her unbridled honesty, shook that foundation. Diana's openness, her tears, and her voice went against everything the family believed in. She was unpredictable. She said what she felt, she cried when she was sad, and she even showed the world the woman behind the title. That honesty was powerful, but it also made the royal family uncomfortable. They preferred silence to questions. They valued control over raw emotion. Prince Edward, however, seemed to quietly understand her in a way that others did not. He realized that Diana was more than just a princess. She was someone who had captured the hearts of millions around the world. Edward did not try to interfere or suppress her. He stayed on the sidelines, saying nothing while others tried to protect the royal image by silencing her. He watched her struggle to follow the rules of the palace while still maintaining her freedom. But that balance did not last. In her efforts to remain authentic, Diana gradually found herself exhausted. Her strength and independence were also her greatest pain. She could no longer force herself to play the role of a silent, smiling royal. She opened up about her pain and showed everyone what life behind the royal curtain was really like. But her family was not prepared for such openness. They did not know how to react to such honesty. And so it leaves us all with an important question: did Diana's approach help the monarchy grow, or did it tear it apart? Read on to find out the role Diana played. Many believe that Diana gave the royal family a second chance, because before she came along, interest in the monarchy was fading. To the public, it had begun to look like something from the past, rigid, unapproachable, and stuck in its old ways. But when Diana arrived, everything changed. She brought a new energy, a gentle light that drew people back to the royal family. Diana made the royal family feel important again, and whether they accepted it or not, she ushered them into a new chapter of history. Her presence didn't just draw attention, it opened up hidden corners. Some believe that Diana herself uncovered truths that the royal family had tried to keep quiet for years. By speaking openly about the trauma, loneliness, and pressures she faced inside the palace, Diana lifted the veil that had been placed on the monarchy's image of perfection. She showed the world that behind the diamonds and the glittering golden halls lay a closed, cold, and prejudiced place. Her honest words left a deep mark on the public, a truth that long after her death, the British royal family is still struggling to heal. Meanwhile, Prince Edward, who was always known for his calm and reserved demeanor, kept quiet throughout. He was not the heir to the throne like Charles, nor the tradition breaker like Diana, but he had seen it all. From behind the scenes, he had quietly observed the first cracks in the royal image long before the world had noticed. Then came the fateful moment, August 31st, 1997, when the news of Diana's death in a Paris car crash shocked the world. It was a huge shock, not just a personal loss, but a collapse of trust on a global scale. Candles burned on the pavement outside her home at Kensington Palace all night. Flowers piled up. The world was in deep grief, even though many had never met her. It felt as if someone very dear had been taken away. Diana was more than a royal name. She was a symbol of warmth, of hope, of someone who wanted to make a difference. And now she was gone. The grief was overwhelming, but while the streets were filled with grief, something strange was happening behind the palace doors. The royal family remained completely silent. Their silence shocked the world. People everywhere waited for even a tear, a sign of grief from the royal family, but there was nothing. There were no speeches, no public appearances, not even the flag at Buckingham Palace was lowered. The family was locked in, still clinging to old customs and formality in a world starved for openness and emotion. The silence was cold and utterly out of place. The traditions they clung to so tightly now seemed out of date, and at this point, their refusal to show emotion only made things worse. The public had changed and the royal family had not. People could no longer contain their anger. They wanted answers. Why didn't the Queen say anything? Why didn't Charles say anything? Did they feel anything? Public frustration grew by the minute. Headlines attacked the royal family. Celebrities began speaking out against them. Even those who had always supported the monarchy began to question whether the royal family had become too distant from the people they were meant to lead. Yet through all the noise and chaos, Prince Edward remained silent. Deep down, he was suffering, but he never showed it. He was not Diana's husband like Charles, he was not her child like William or Harry, but he was close enough to see her struggles. As her brother-in-law, he witnessed her pain silently in a way that others might not. Yet he said nothing. His silence held more emotion than any public speech, and by the time the Queen finally addressed the nation, the damage was done. The long wait left a deep wound. The silence from the palace spoke louder than any speech could have. It revealed a version of the royal family that people could not forget. They seemed cold, distant, lost in their own world. And just as Diana's brave honesty had stirred things before this moment of silence left its mark. Diana's passing was the moment when the royal family could no longer avoid change. Her death was a turning point. Suddenly, the usual quiet and reserved way of doing things was no longer enough. People wanted emotion, not tradition. They wanted royals to feel what the world felt. It was no longer acceptable to act as if nothing had happened. The pain of that loss forced the monarchy to rethink everything. They had to open up. They had to show the world that they were human. While the family worked to repair their image and learn to reconnect with the public, Edward remained in the background. He never stepped forward. He never appeared on television or wrote anything. He never shared his feelings or told the world how Diana's death had touched his heart. But he watched it all happen. The grief, the anger, the slow change in the royal family. Yet he kept his thoughts to himself. He never spoke of how he truly felt about the cold silence of the palace or the way the public anger swept like a relentless storm for years. Edward chose to remain in the shadows, saying nothing but silence. Yet the world never stopped talking about Diana. People remembered her kindness, her strength, her pain, and how she tried to bring about change. Her story lives on. Interviews, films, and books keep bringing her back into the conversation. The way she was treated by the palace still makes people feel uncomfortable. Her memories stir up emotions that never seem to fade, and through it all, Edward never gave his opinion. He remained invisible until this moment. Want to hear what he finally had to say? Read on for the shocking revelations about Princess Diana. After years of silence, Prince Edward finally spoke out, taking everyone by surprise. Unlike the polished, guarded messages we often hear from members of the royal family, Edward did not try to defend the crown or smooth over the past. His words did not sound rehearsed. He did not try to protect anyone or soften the truth. Instead, he spoke raw and honest, giving people a rare and personal look at what really happened behind palace walls. He admitted something many had secretly believed for a long time, that Princess Diana never really belonged in the royal world. He said the system was not built to accept someone like her. Diana's warm heart, her openness, and the way she expressed her emotions so clearly were all seen by the institution as weaknesses, not strengths. She faced rejection not because of who she was, but because the system was not ready for someone so genuine. Her profound loneliness was not just something that happened. It was a result of the way the royal machine operated around her. Now people are asking, why is Edward speaking up now, after all these years of silence? Many believe this is more than a coincidence. Right now, the royal family is under pressure. Younger voices are questioning whether the monarchy still has a place in today's world. The same issues that beset Diana are being raised again, and her memory is right at the heart of it all. Edward's words don't just feel like a look back. They feel like a quiet answer to the questions people are asking today. What made Edward's message different was that it was not politically charged or emotionally charged by his position in the royal family. When Charles spoke about Diana, he always kept his tone formal and careful, as if he were performing a duty rather than remembering a person. William honored his mother with love and respect, but kept his distance, avoiding letting her story affect his future role as king. Even Harry, who is seen as honest and strong in his emotions, shared Diana's story from the perspective of a wounded son, one struggling with the past and the system that he felt had wronged his mother. As for Edward, he did not speak from the position of an heir, nor did he come to the conversation with any sense of challenge or affirmation. He did not seek attention, did not need pity, nor did he try to make an impression. The way he spoke, quietly, briefly, but with weight, gave a sense of authenticity, as if he were simply stating a simple thing that everyone knew in their hearts, but no one had the courage to affirm. In just a few short sentences, Edward confirmed a truth that left many people speechless. Diana's pain came not only from personal conflicts, but also from the rigidity, coldness, and invisible pressure that the royal family placed on her, a truth that still haunts her today. Edward's quiet honesty is now shaking the royal family in unexpected ways. His words have raised new questions about what else might be hiding behind the royal family's seemingly flawless exterior. What he said isn't just bringing back pain from the past, it's creating real ripples now. Prince Edward's comments have gone beyond old memories. They've reopened wounds that the royal family has never fully healed. And while his words were calm and carefully chosen, they forced the monarchy to revisit one of its most painful personal chapters. For a long time, the royal family has been working hard to change how the public sees them. They have tried to distance themselves from the pain and scandals that have accompanied the life and heartbreaking death of Princess Diana. They have wanted to rebuild their image to show a different side, one that is not entangled in sadness or old mistakes. But now that Prince Edward has finally broken his silence, all that careful planning may be starting to unravel. Initial reactions to his words have been mixed. Some people were confused and some deeply hurt. And one of the most affected was King Charles. Charles, who now wears the crown, is said to have been shaken to the core. The past is not something he can easily escape. His history with Diana still casts a heavy shadow over him, a chapter that many consider one of the most painful failures in royal history. Edward's comments stirred up old memories of decisions Charles made that changed Diana's life and deeply damaged the way the world viewed the monarchy. For him, this was more than just history being rehashed. It was about wounds that had never really closed, emotions that lingered just below the surface. Prince William, the heir to the throne, now finds himself in a difficult position. He has always shown his love and respect for his mother, choosing to honor her in a way that protects her memory, but does not reopen old wounds. At the same time, he was trying to guide the monarchy into a new era, one that leaves the past behind. But now, because of Edward's honesty, William may have to revisit those painful truths, and he may have to decide how much of Diana's full story he's willing to accept and talk about. That decision will not only affect how the public views him, but it could also affect whether people believe the royal family is truly ready to grow and change. Then there's Prince Harry, who has been the most vocal when it comes to Diana's legacy. Much of his decision to step back from royal life came from the same issues that Edward has now acknowledged existed. Harry has long said that his mother was treated unfairly, that her voice was often ignored or silenced. Edward's words may have provided a sense of long overdue validation for Harry, proof that someone else in the royal circle finally understood. But at the same time, this could make the rift between Harry and the rest of the family even wider, because if Edward, who has always kept a low profile, stayed out of the spotlight and sided with the establishment, were to speak out now, it would be worth pondering. But while these family struggles are deeply emotional, there's something even bigger going on here. Edward's revelation isn't just affecting those inside the palace. It's sending ripples far beyond the royal gates. And that brings us to the bigger question: what could this truth mean for the future of the royal family? The public reaction to Edward's revelations has made it clear that his decision to finally speak out is adding to the pressure on an already fraying royal system. Today's world demands truth and openness, and the royal family is struggling to keep up. So when someone like Edward, who has always been known for his calm, respectful, and quiet demeanor, decides to confront the painful truth surrounding Diana's life, people can't help but wonder what else might be lurking behind palace walls. Some believe his openness may be just what the monarchy needs. By admitting past mistakes, the royal family can finally show the public that they are capable of learning, changing, and becoming better. For many, that honesty was a step forward, but not everyone saw it that way. Others thought Edward might have crossed a line, one that could make it harder for the royals to protect the image they have so carefully crafted over the years. Regardless of where they stand, one truth is now inescapable: the royal family can no longer pretend the past didn't happen. Once Edward's words were shared with the public, they spread like wildfire. Headlines were quick to appear, and every major news outlet jumped on the story. Talk shows replayed his statements over and over, analyzing each sentence. Journalists filled newspaper columns with speculation about how the palace might respond and what it might mean for the future of the monarchy. At the same time, social media exploded with conversation. In today's fast-paced digital world, where every public statement is scrutinized and discussed instantly, Edward's comments became a big moment. People had strong reactions. Some felt that Edward had finally said what had needed to be said for years. They praised him for his honesty and courage for bringing to light a truth that had been hidden for so long. For these people, his honesty was powerful and healing. It brought dignity to Diana's pain and held the royal system accountable. Over the decades, the media has played a huge role in shaping Diana's public image. Some stories have painted her as a helpless victim, while others have portrayed her as someone who brought trouble to her family. But Edward's version doesn't follow any old script. He doesn't try to make Diana look like a saint, nor does he defend the way the royals treated her. Instead, he tells a deeper, more complex story that has forced many journalists to rethink how they covered Diana over the years. The biggest reaction, however, didn't come from TV or newspapers. It came from ordinary people online. In an instant, users were posting videos, comments, and personal thoughts. Hashtags related to Diana, hidden royal secrets, and demands for transparency went viral. Many young people, some of whom weren't even born when Diana died, started talking about her again. They started comparing her experience to Meghan Markle's and wondering if the royal family could survive if it kept repeating the same painful mistakes. The palace has yet to issue an official response, but even without a word from them, the impact of Edward's statement cannot be ignored. The entire public conversation has taken a new turn, and Diana's name is once again being mentioned everywhere with raw emotion, fierce debate, and divided feelings. Edward didn't just say a few harmless words. He reopened a story that many thought had been quietly closed. His choice to break his silence after so many years felt like a turning point in how the royal family dealt with uncomfortable truths. For a long time, the way they got through difficult times was to say nothing, believing that silence would keep their reputations safe. But Edward's decision showed something different. Keeping quiet doesn't make a problem go away. It just delays the moment when the truth comes knocking. His honesty brought Diana's pain back into focus. Diana was once a symbol of kindness and relatability, but behind that smile was a lingering pain that is now being re-examined through Edward's words. His speaking out not only rekindles memories, but also raises questions about responsibility, truth, and the cost of silence. While some see it as a courageous act that paves the way for healing, others worry that revealing too much truth will shake the foundations of the monarchy. Though controversial, Edward's words add depth to Diana's story, a story that is all too familiar yet still full of untold stories. The story of King Charles being overcome with emotion at the age of 75, after Prince Edward spoke for the first time about Princess Diana, revealed the deep emotions behind the halo of the British royal family. Although time has passed, the emotional wounds and memories of Diana are always present in the minds of those who remain. Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying us in the latest stories about the royal family and the world. Goodbye and see you again.